Right, now hopefully you can hear me. So I'm going to do a bit of scenario building now, and I've just changed the microphone over to a toggle so that I don't have to keep holding buttons down, because that causes all sorts of other problems. So yes, hopefully that works correctly, because changing things mid-broadcast I'm sure is a really cool idea. So I think we're going to use West Somerset Railway for this little scenario. This is going to be a freight scenario, so we're going to do picking up, coupling up and uncoupling. Right, here we are. So let's make it a career scenario. Excuse me, same as before. We will start at Minehead, and this is going to be Twitch freight scenario. Create. Okay, so we're in Minehead. What's nice about Minehead is we've got a few sidings here we can do stuff with. We're not going to do anything particularly clever or necessarily prototypical. The goal here is to just show the techniques. So as previously, we've got our scenario properties over on the right. So let's we'll leave the description in the briefing until later on. Now normally you plan your scenario first. I'm probably doing a tutorial on a scenario I'm making up as I go is a recipe for disaster, but we'll sure cross that bridge when we come to it. Now I'm not going to change anything particularly in the scenario this time round, so things like time of day, let's leave them nice and visible, let's leave it, I will change that to cloudy because it tends to make the skies look a little bit more interesting, and we'll leave it on summer. Obviously for your scenario you can do as you wish. Now I'm also going to make it start in the cab, which I believe is this one. Of course cab camera, good, because I do like that. Now we're going to use a diesel locomotive. So let's use the class 33, and we're going to put the class 33 here. Actually, let's put him here, so that you've got to learn how to change some points before you can start. And then what we'll do is put some wagons down. So let's put a brown wagon here. That doesn't look very brown to me, but okay. And we'll put a red wagon here. And we'll put a 5-plank canvas wagon there. But let's put more than one in there, and we'll put more than one of those there, and we'll put more than one there. So I'm just placing the vehicles the same way I placed them previously, only this time I'm placing single units because I'm kind of making it up as I go along. Now one thing I should do is get rid of the camera. That's better. Right, so the other thing that a number of people asked about last time was how do you add stuff in from other packs that you've purchased. So if we click this icon over here, which if you hover over it, it says object set filter. So if you click that over here, this now changes to show basically the providers and products of content you've got. So the providers are in a drop down box. If you look in your assets folders, essentially this is what the assets folders are. So what we'll do is we'll find some content from RSC, so that's where most of my stuff is, and then down here we will find Class 08 pack, not the Class 08 packs. I'm trying to remember which ones have some wagons in. bring all the class 8s in. I've stunningly managed to find absolutely no chalk. Got any wagons? Ah, here we go. We've got some wagons. MEAs and MFAs. So what we'll do is over here, we're just going to put some wagons in the sidings. So let's do some EWS box wagons. There you go. Look. So we can put those in there. That's the MEAs. And then the MFAs, we'll put some blue ones down. And that's those ones. Okay, so you can pick anything you like from this list by picking that, and then once you've selected the box, then all the stuff that's in that provider product folder will appear. And similarly, if you look over here, I've got lots of different 08s and things now from all the stuff that's been added. Right. Now, loading some wagons up. Now, the other wagons over here, you can't really see what's in them because they're all covered. So what we will do is we will select an empty 5 blank and stick that there. And if we double click a wagon, we can choose. Okay, so these ones don't have loads on them that we can set, so that's fine. So you can just set the number of the wagon. These ones, however, you can set to loaded by ticking the checkbox. Okay, so double click on the wagon, do the checkbox. Now, if you want to do more than one and do the whole train, you switch down here to consist for mode, double click the whole consist, and then when you tick that, yeah, or untick it, you can change whether or not it's loaded. Okay. Hi Russell, yes, I removed the camera. Hopefully that's out of your way now. So we've got some wagons here which we're going to pick up, and we've got a locomotive which is going to do some work. These are just a bit of scenery I've put over there just to sort of demonstrate how you can get those. Now let's make this train do something. So as before, all trains need a driver, and got a driver icon in, we can click the timetable view. Now one of the things I forgot last time was make sure you tick your player train as a player train. And let's make this one the player freight service. That names it. You can already see the map has updated. And then we can change this, and we're just going to make this a standard freight. Right. So now where are we going to make this train go? So this is where the train is at the moment. What we need to do is, I think we'll have him pull this way to, okay. Just trying to plan how we're actually going to get the train to route, because what you want to do when you're doing complex routing like this is always make it so that the player is never expected to change direction mid-route. Okay. I realise that the promo is now wrong, and the description on Twitch is wrong. I'm doing good here tonight. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this player train and put it up into mine head up shunt, and we're going to do that with a go to instruction or a stop at instruction. So remember, we click one to add it, it appears down here, we click on there, it opens up the properties, we click here, and then we click in the very magical special space if we're lucky, and it appears over here. If you have difficulty with that, as I said before, you can just scroll up and down this list and find the location here. So the red lines appeared, so now we're expecting, excuse me, the player to come up this way. Now, where are we going to send the player to next? We're going to get them to cross over, and we're going to get them to come, I think, into the stone siding. No, we're going to send them into this up spur. Yeah, we'll send them to the up spur, and then we'll get them to reverse back. So let's do that. Let's send them to Minehead up spur. So again, go to, click, change that. Come on, you can do it. There you go. Right, so now we're going to Minehead up spur. Now always just double check that the red lines are going kind of where you're expecting. That's difficult because that covers the red line. This is covering all the red line. We can see the red line here and here, and it's pretty much going where we're expecting. So now we're in that side. Now we need to reverse them back. Now what we're going to do is come into this one, and then this one, and then actually no, we'll do this one on the outside first. Right, so we need to come into this siding first, and these are Minehead. Can't read it. It's coming up. Excellent. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple to rear of train. So the white square at the front here tells us which end is the front, which means that by the time we're ready to couple up, it's going to be the rear of the train that wants the wagon, so we're going to use that, which means the plus is at the rear of the train. This is if you want to couple to the front of the train. So couple to back, now through the coupling instruction, is at the heart of it very similar. Right, number of two, this is a freight scenario, so the idea is we're going to pick up some wagons and then we're going to take them a little bit down the line, and then we'll see what we can do after that. So, set destination, and then see if we can't convince it to go. No, it's not going to let me do that. And this is Minehead. Honestly can't see what that is. So that's not really what is useful. I was kind of hoping we could see the name of the thing there. Let's see if going into the map view here will help us. Might be able to zoom in just far enough. Shed Road 2, Pit Road 1, Shed Road 3, I guess. Right, we can try this out. If we go back into timetable mode, so if we say that's Shed Road 3, we click here, we go for, and we need to tell it where the wagons are first. So Minehead, Shed Road 3, okay, that's perfect. That's going into the right place. Now we need to tell it what to pick up, and that's this list here. Now you could, if you wanted, type all of the wagon numbers in here if you like. That might feel like a bit of a pain. Now you could click on this and all the wagon numbers appear, and now I can click on one. Ooh, that's interesting, isn't it? However, clicking on all of the wagons you want to pick up can equally be a pain. So if you shift click, they all appear. So all of the wagons will now appear in this list. That pretty much is all we want to add to this instruction for the time being. So now we've gone and picked up our first consist. Now I think we need to tell the player to go and pick up their next consist, which is Shed Road 2. Now if you've got more time and a bit more energy, you might actually instruct the player to pull forwards and then pull backwards again, but for the sake of brevity I'm not going to do that. So we're going to put another couple back instruction. This time we're going to Shed Road 2, and we're going to couple to all of those. Ah, come on, you can do it. Not quite sure why sometimes it doesn't work, but there you go, we're done. So that's that one done. And then the next one is the Pit Road, which is this one. So as I said, I'm not aiming for particular accuracy here. I'm not putting wagons where they would really be wagons. When you're doing your scenarios, you can come up with much better ideas than I've come up with on the fly here. So add rail vehicle, shift click. No, we're going to do that again, are we? Click. Right, and that's got that there. So what I was doing there, cheers Doc, see you later. If when you shift click it nothing happens, I was just clicking on this window, typing something in it, deleting it, and then trying the shift click again. So at this point we have now collected all three cuts of wagons, and we're ready to go do something with them. So we're now sitting in this yard, sitting probably in this general vicinity, and we want to try and get the train to come out and go along here. So we're going to come along. So we've got good shed and things here, which is interesting. Well, I think it's probably facing in the wrong direction for us. So I've got a good siding here. So what we could do here, let's drop off those the final set of wagons. In fact, let's drop the 2 lots of final sets of wagons off in here. Now, an uncouple instruction. So let's first say to pull into okay, so there's not really anywhere nice to go to. There's Dunster, and then we can get them to reverse back, but that's excessive. Okay. What we'll do is we'll put a custom marker in. So let's fly over to Dunster, since it's only just here. Rather than pulling all the way into the station and then reversing all the way back, what we're going to do is create a marker that's unique to this. Oops. We're going to create a marker which is unique to this area. So over on the left here, you've got this signal icon, which in a scenario gives you all of these markers. Now I'm going to put a destination marker, and I'm going to put it right. Before you do any markers, you need to click on this monitor icon, which is your graphical detail, what you want to see, and you want to make sure these 6 icons are ticked, because without it you can't see the markers. So it would even let you place them, but you can't see what you're doing. So make sure they're placed, and then click off it, and now click destination, and now we should be able there you go. So now we can place a marker which will place something like there. Okay, so let's give that a name. So you double click on this bit in the middle. Now when you're placing these markers, if you just want to, you can pick up this bit and move it. You can pick up the other end and you can move it if you want to, although you're probably better off being a bit closer to it. Yeah. If you want to, you can double click, and what we need to do is just change this to Dunster Freight Stop here. Dunster Freight Stop here. Right. So that's named our stop at instruction. Hey there, Tornado Ben. Thanks for joining us. And what we're going to do now is tell the train to go there. So if we now look here, we've now gained a new instruction. So we're going to tell the train go to. We can use a drop down to find Dunster Freight Stop here. Click that. So now we've instructed our train to come all the way up to here. So we're at about 16 minutes of runtime so far. So now we're going to do a uncouple, which is this one, drop off, and we're going to uncouple this set of wagons and this set of wagons. Remember, you can only uncouple them in the order sort of from back to the front. If you want the player to uncouple something in the middle, then you need to create it so that they effectively drop off the ones behind, and then just take, say, the 3 or 4 wagons at the front and put them into the siding, and then go back and get the ones that they left behind. So we've dropped that. We're going to go back to Dunster Goods siding 4 by the looks of it. Let's try grabbing that by the UI. There you go. Now what wagons are we going to drop here? We've got nothing to click on. So what do we do? Here we've got 3 wagons. These are the rear ones, so we're going to click that, and then we're going to go here and paste. Yeah, so just a simple Control C, Control V. That's cool. And then we're going to go back to this one and get that, and then put comma, and then put those in there. So the 6 wagons that we're going to drop off, and we're going to drop them off into that siding. Those are the 6 wagons we're going to drop off. We now only have those 5 3-plank wagons, which are quite short, and they'll find somewhere else to put them. So at this point, we're now going to carry on going. I think what we'll do is we'll just stop the train in Dunster Goods siding 1. So let's put the stop at sign in, go for Dunster Goods siding 1. There you go. Now we're going to just stop there. That'll be the end of the scenario. Now there's quite a lot of manual points that need changing to do this. There's a little bit of shunting, and I think we probably provided quite a bit of challenge for a novice user to be able to complete this scenario. Okay, so Player services must have the final destination marker, and that's pretty much always the same as the last instruction you gave them. So dumpster goods siding 1. Good. Now, this little symbol here is telling us that there are warnings, and I'm not quite sure why they are yet. What we will do is run the service and see whether or not we have a problem. But warnings don't stop us from actually finishing the scenario, so they're just guiding us at potential problems that might cause us a problem in the future. Okay, so the thing to do now is to give it a shot and start playing it. So, like I said previously, you never ever run the scenario from here, although pressing play is the only way out. You always come out, go back to the main menu, and then hit replay. So we're going to do one playthrough now, and then we'll think about some other stuff that we can do. So our first instruction is to go back to mine head up shunt, which was up here. So let's check the points because these are manual. So we are good to go back to there now. And is made. So of course one thing I haven't done is made any of this scored or anything at the moment. So that'll be probably the next thing to add, is just to figure out what timed instructions we're going to have and then assign scores. So we've moved back into the head shunt. Just try not to crash into the buffers, please. Right, having moved back, now we need to go forwards and go into mine head up spur. So we're doing this stop at instruction at the moment. I've already changed the point in front of us. So when we start moving, you'll be able to see the map here change, and that will help us confirm that we're going the right way. So release that. Notice no points because it's not been set up as a timed instruction. Okay, so destination is mine head up spur. It's visible on the HUD as such, which means that we know we're going in the right direction. I'm back. Right. So we've just got to make our way all the way to mine head up spur. Hey popheads, welcome to the channel. When you're routing trains, especially when they're routing backwards and forwards over yards and the like, you want to make sure that you take them well out of the way, through and clear of points and so forth. So we had a tab to do there, so we might want to tell the player to remind the player to check for that when we actually put some text boxes in, because we haven't done any of that yet. Hey Alex, welcome to the channel. So we're just coming into mine head up spur, and then we can bring the train to a stop. Now, the next instruction is to go to there and that siding up there. So let's check our point work. That needs changing. So you just click on these blue circles to change, and then the thick line tells you where it's going. That one's wrong. That one's wrong. And now the blue line follows all the way up into the line that we're interested in, which is excellent. Oh, I'm glad you fixed your problem, Alex. That's excellent news. So we're going backwards now, and it looks like we've got another signal which needs us to give it some attention. So I'm going to press Control T, and now the shunt signal has given us clearance to proceed, so we will do so. Control T, Control Tab. So press Tab to request permission when you're from the front of the loco, and press Control T to request permission for the single signal to the rear of the loco. So set the points, and again we can see as we're driving Minehead Shed Road 3 is on the rear HUD. Now we've got some wagons to couple up to here. Now depending on what country you're in, the wagons are set up slightly differently. So some will automatically couple when you buffer up to them, and some will require you to manually couple. If it's automatic, then you don't really need to do anything special. But if it's manual, then you have to click the coupling button. So the UK generally is manual. So in this instance, we're going to have to couple the wagons up. When you're buffering up to wagons, you want to make sure you're certainly under 2 miles an hour, ideally under 1 miles per hour. 1 mile per hour. So we're coming up now. So if you're doing shunting like this and you're setting up the timings for the scorings, the important thing with freight and coupling is safety. And so you don't want to come up with a scenario which requires the driver to do things that are unsafe. So at the moment we have not coupled up. If you look down here, you cannot see any joins between these two hooks. Okay, I'm just going to zoom in around here so that you can see. Similarly, down here all the wagons have appeared, except we're now drifting away, so let's just... Right, so the wagons have appeared, but this is now uncoupled. If I click this, you can see the coupling has appeared, and we are now coupled to these wagons. Now these are used to put handbrakes on. You just click them. So if you just click that, it puts an handbrake on or off. Right, let's get moving. We have all of our wagons from this siding. So our next stop is Shed Road 2, which is here. So what we're going to do is pull forward. Once we're clear of this siding, we'll come back and get the other wagons. So far we've got 3 ticks, so we're doing all right. We've passed the point, so we can come round here now. So if we go back into the map view, again this one's going up that way, so if we click it, it comes around, we can now see the blue putting us into the right place. And now we'll go back and get these wagons. Once again, you can see we're going to the right place because the destination shows up on the HUD. Just if you were in any doubt at all. So once again, we want to try and couple at below 2 miles per hour, preferably below 1 mile per hour. The thing to remember though when you're coupling up wagons like this is the more wagons you've got, the longer it's going to take to slow the train down, as I just found out. So we've just coupled up, we can see some more, and there is where the so these dark grey couplings are not in our train. That's where they join, and that's where it's now coupled. Right, well, here's the brakes. I'm going to go to the back of the train again. In fact, let's go to the A camera and just fly in front. Now this time We're waiting for the wagons to come past this point. So let's get him to go past. Why are we going to go past this point this time? Well, because we've got to come all the way past here, down this line, and then up into this line. Good. So now we've got to come back. So this time we're going to change that point and this point, and come back into. There you go. We can prove the blue is going in the right direction now. So let's go and get the last cut of wagons. Nothing like a bit of a freight demo at a preserve railway. What does it mean if there's a red coupling or handbrake on the coupling menu? That's the currently selected one. Hang on, let's just go and run over here so that we can tell the train driver when to stop. So I'll show you that in a minute. Because if you're using an Xbox controller, then the red one is actually the current one, and as you use the D-pad, the red one will move out left and right along the list. But that's all it means. By default, it shows the last one usually. Here I am. I'm accelerating, of course, and this is going to end badly if I don't put the brakes on. If you stop when you're approaching, that's actually the right thing to do. Get within the general vicinity, stop, and then gently buffer up, rather than trying to slam into the wagons at just the right place. Yes, as Jack says, this is all West Somerset Railway, although I did add some extra wagons in from a different piece of DLC, just because someone asked how you did that. Right, so let's put the brakes on and switch to the coupling view. So that red one is the last one, essentially. If I had the Xbox controller, then when I D-pad left, that would go red, that would go red, then that would go red, and so forth. So couple that up, and now that's the last thing on the consist. So we have all of our wagons. Dunster Freight stop here is our next stop. So let's get back in the cab so we'll get ready to go now. Now we are going to come out here. So the automatic points are controlled by the dispatcher, and we are clear to Dunster stop here. Good, so let's get going. And once again, the signal needs to be given a bit of a tab. Now, having given it a tab, I'm breaking the speed limit, look at that. So giving it a tab, it's switched over to tell us that we're okay to proceed out onto the main line. This is where playtesting comes in, because you can work out what might seem like it makes sense on paper, and perhaps will even make sense in reality. When you actually come to expect the player to come and do it, it might not make so much sense, or maybe it's just plain difficult. Just realised I've been holding the F10 key down, so I've no idea if anyone heard anything the last thing I said at all. Let me know. 10 miles per hour coming out here, although once we're clear of this level crossing it does bump up to 25. Okay, so we're in the 25 zone now, so we're speeding up. Dunster is in just over a mile. Hadn't pressed F10, that was no use. So we're going to drop the freight off at this Dunster Freight Mark area. Yes, I saw. Oh dear, me and technology, it's just not good. So we're going to drop the freight off at the sidings in this general area. They've got the last two cuts of wagons to drop off there, and then we're going to proceed forward into the Dunster area, into Dunster Good Siding 1, and that's where the scenario will finish. So one of the things I was saying there was, if you're expecting the player to do anything, for example, to change direction, then you should really tell them. So, for example, where that applies is in here. So I'm going to get the train to stop in Dunster Freight stop here. Once you've actually stopped, it would be nice if you actually told the player, right, now you need to change direction and reverse the wagons into the siding behind you, change the points if necessary. Right. So we stop, and because it's a stop here, you do have to wait for it to do its thing. Now what we're going to do, so because this is an automatic junction, it's already changed the points for us to push us back into Dunster Good Siding 1. Yes, Matt wants you to lip read, Alex. You got it. Did I answer your question, Mummer of Two, about National Rail? What I was saying was National Rail doesn't own this piece of track. It's private preserved railway. It's a very good one at that, it has to be said. So we're reversing the train now into this little siding, and I'm sort of hoping that I didn't miscalculate here, because the game will somewhat let you get away with trying to put the wrong number of wagons in. Of course, you do tend to rather make the scenario difficult then. We'll probably even get away with putting all the wagons in here, but since we haven't been asked to do that, we won't. So I'm just saving away these wagons into here. Once they're all in the siding, then we can stop. sometime before we smash into the buffers would be good. Right, so uncoupling. Now, if we look at what's necessary, what's needed, so press the F1 to get the task list. It says we need to drop off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wagons. So if we click over here, what you can see is that at the rear of the red bit here, that's your loco. Okay, so at the back end of the train, we've got 756504, 072, and 648, which is those three. 383, 017, and 556. Now, it's a good job I haven't told anything to do it in order. So I'm going to put handbrakes on just to make sure they don't drift off, and then uncouple. Yep, so we've completed that step. Now, what do we do now? We now need to go to Dunster Good Siding 1, which is where the scenario will end. Back into the cab, move that forward. So coming back out onto this main line again. And then just over here, you can already see Dunster Good Siding 1 is showing up. Yes, at some point I am going to build a custom route, but as I said previously, I want to make sure that I'm not talking a load of rubbish, basically. I have my way of doing things, which is the way I've taught myself, that could very well be disastrously wrong, and I don't want to be responsible for teaching people stupid stuff. So, once I know the correct way of doing it from the clever people at work, I shall then be in a good place. So I'm not going to cover the art side of route building, because as you saw in the when I placed scenery objects in the last tutorial, art is not my thing. But I am going to try and, so this could be interesting because I don't think the doors are going to open for us. So you just have to excuse that. So this is one of those places where you maybe don't want to run the scenario here. When you actually come to playtest it, what looked good on the track work perhaps doesn't look as good when you come and use the scenario, because what's going to happen here is I'm going to drive through that door. Crunch. So it's a good place to store stuff in a scenario, but not a great place to actually actively expect the player to travel. So we're just going to Dunster Good Siding 1, and then we are going to stop. Yes, it's on my list, Alex. So as soon as we get here, just do a minimal reduction, put a bit more on and get stopped. And then we'll just wait for that timer to finish, and then that's the end of the scenario. So that all worked, which is good. It means that our first test has actually been successful. What's next is things like career score. It's adding perhaps 1 or 2 AI trains in, because it'd be nice to have an AI train come in or depart Minehead while we're doing our shunting. We could have, while we're sitting here, there could have been a train coming in, and there are some other tidy up tasks like text messages that we can do. So you'll see that because we haven't put a message at the end, it actually puts this little box at the top saying, well done, you've completed the scenario successfully. That's not very nice. Most people wouldn't even see that. So it's important that you do put the right messages in. However, that's all for tonight. So thanks for watching this part 1 of the freight scenario tutorial. Tomorrow we'll come back and we'll try and finish some of that stuff off. There may not be a show tomorrow. Let me see how things go. Flight Sim is being launched. Flight Sim X Steam Edition is being launched tomorrow, and I expect to be taking part in that whole launch process and helping people with the new simulator. But if I can do a bit of streaming, maybe for a little while, I certainly will. Are your workmates your walking training guide? Absolutely. I make full use of my workmates and learn everything I can from them. I try to share my knowledge with them as well while I'm at it. So it's good. It's all good. Right, as I said, thanks very much. Keep an eye on Facebook and on the About page for the stream. I will try and post if there's going to be any change to the schedule for tomorrow night. As I said, Flight Sim 10 is launching Steam Edition, and I'm probably going to be part of that. So stay tuned. I don't know what time it's being launched, Alex. You'll have to keep an eye on Facebook, the Dovetail Facebook, to find out exactly what time it is. But it should be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, that's all from me for tonight. Thanks very much for joining, and I shall see you next time. Bye.